My gesture drawings used to be so stiff, but when I discovered exaggeration, everything changed for me, and my gestures went from whatever this is to finally alive. So in this video I will distill for you, in the simplest way possible, all the tips that I got about exaggeration from some of the best masters out there. Definitely not me. The Bible of animation defines exaggeration as developing the essence of a pose. You have to start from the heart of anything, as Walt Disney himself used to say. As a matter of fact, the first breakthrough for me happened when I started asking myself, what am I trying to communicate with this pose? What story do I want to tell the viewer? Because this is the foundation for the entire drawing. And it is right from the foundation that you have to start to think about exaggeration. Right from the gesture. Because at the gesture stage you are establishing your story. And all the rest, anatomy, shading, it's just icing on the cake, really. I mean, why are we even drawing? To flex our perfect knowledge of anatomy? To show how well we can shade a figure? Screw all that. I say we draw to tell stories. And to tell beautiful stories, we have to push them. Make them clear, make them interesting, create drama. And this is, in my opinion, one of the main factors that sets us apart from AI. If there is one key takeaway from this video, this is it. This is everything you need to know. But if this is not enough, I want to share with you one simple concept that helped me to push every single pose that I had in front of me. The line of action. The line of action is an imaginary line that runs through the body and captures the essence of the main action. Remember the essence? Exactly what we were looking for. The line of action will help you treat the figure, the whole figure, in a holistic manner. Not only as a bunch of shapes stitched together. And all these parts, torso, legs, arms, head, have to follow the main line of action and work together to tell the same story. And I'm not coming up with anything new here, because this same concept is explained by tons of books by some of the best artists out there. One being Force by Michael Mattesi, a book that I already recommended in one of my previous videos. But I think that one of the books that explain it best and in the most straightforward way is actually an animation book. Cartoon Animation by Preston Blair, one of the best animators and teachers ever existed. Just look at this simple example. Here the lines of action are a total mess. There is no direction, no clarity, no story. But here instead, look at how simple the line of action is and therefore how clear and interesting the story is. Same goes for this other pose. And if I had to take this example as a reference for a gesture drawing of a human character, it would be something like this. On this side, look at how the limbs, the arms and the legs are working together with the main line of action. And now look at here, how the force, the energy, is broken up into segments. It feels interrupted and not as strong, as impactful. And this is why the line of action is really the first thing to consider when you want to exaggerate a pose. But if you want to take your exaggeration game one step further, this book right here, maybe think about it in a totally different way. I'm talking about Gesture Drawing, Dynamic Movement and Form by Michael Hampton. He introduced me to a new concept to take into account when exaggerating: balance. Think about where the point of balance is in a figure, in a reference, and decide if you want to keep it that way to tell that particular story, or if you want to shift it to tell a different story, to exaggerate it. To determine the degree of balance of a figure, just look for the plumb line starting from the pit of the neck to the ground, perpendicular to it, and pay attention to where it falls. If it's closer to the weight-bearing leg or legs, it means that the figure is more balanced. At this point, you need to know that the audience is usually more interested in what he calls the about to poses. Poses that suggest that an action is about to happen or is already happening, and therefore the figure is unbalanced. A static pose is seen as more boring, usually. So this particular artist creates more exaggeration by creating more instability. And as an animator, I totally agree. And in this way, he creates a story that the audience is eager to know. Now, the last tip made me completely rethink the way I was exaggerating my poses up to that point. And this is from another absolute master of gesture, Ryan Woodward. In his book, he says that there is not only one way to exaggerate. And yes, of course, you can exaggerate your gesture, your line of action, past what you see in the reference, past what's humanly possible, but you can also exaggerate the proportions and the style of your figure. And this is where the fun begins, because at this point, you can really go crazy. And the more you will learn about gesture, about figure, and eventually about anatomy, the more options you will have to exaggerate. But that's a story for another time. Exaggeration is so tricky, because it's so difficult to spot. If you don't exaggerate, your poses may not look wrong, but they will feel boring, like not enough, like a missed opportunity. And also, there is no right or wrong way to exaggerate. Keep that in mind. This may seem like a disappointing answer, but it's also kind of exciting. This means that you can push your pose in any way you want. The sky is the limit. Just remember that story is your North Star. I know it's not easy at all, so if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, because I would love to help you. And if you want to know more about all the books and all the masters that I mentioned today, here I have a video for you. And I will see you on my next step.